a document that is called 2020 National Sports Industry Policy. And the entire objective is for the country to actually use sports to stimulate socio-economic development. But how are we going to do that? We have in the studio this morning two guests who are very, very deep in terms of sport administration and management. On my far right is Dr. Paul Bankole. He's a sports administrator, and of course, he's also in charge of sports at Redeemed Christian Church of God. Dr. Bankole, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very much.
We also have in the studio an ex-Olympian, ex-this, ex-that. She's been part of different committees at different levels of governance, state and federal government. She's an Olympic medalist, Chief Mrs. Palelat Umkoya Omota is our second guest this morning. MON, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. We are looking at the need for a national sports industry policy. Let me start with Dr. Bankole. Are we doing something different from what other countries are doing, or we are starting to do something that is in line with global standards?
Oh, very good. I love the way you put it. Well, we want to thank God that we are starting what other developed countries are doing when it comes to global best practices. And I want to take it from what the new minister, Sunday Dare, is doing. Go back to his swearing-in ceremony. Immediately he was sworn in as minister. He did say, and I quote him, that my ministry will not be just Ministry of Sports, Youth and Sports. It's going to be Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Now, emphasis must be on development. Now, it is that developmental aspect that has been lacking in the country. We've been too much of promotion in all aspects of sports. I mean, we did very well, okay, promoting, hosting of international competitions, okay? Participation. Oh, we hosted. Under 17 World Cup and so on. Okay, yeah, we hosted. All Africa Games, we hosted. These are all promotional events. Now, developmental aspect of it is what the Honorable Minister is looking into now. And I want to give him kudos for that, especially with this huge booklet that he has produced from his ministry, okay? For the first time in the history of sports in Nigeria, we are having something like this, a policy, okay? And they say it's a national sports industry policy, okay? So it's now left for us to be able to interpret what is here and then see how we can implement it.
I think we should actually first and foremost define sports industry. What is sports industry?
Simple. Commercialization. Okay. How do we make money out of sports? How do we create jobs out of sports? We have millions of youth and children all over the place in Nigeria. For instance, FIFA says we have about 8.5 million unregistered footballers in Nigeria. How do we create jobs for them? How do we come about industries in Nigeria, factories, for instance, in Ogun State that will be producing football? Okay, not only football, boots, canvases, jerseys, and so on. How do we do this? How do we have factories that would be producing, name any equipment we need in any gymnasium and so on? How do we have that? So these are the things we are looking at. And then, of course, very, very importantly, how do we combine science and technology with human efforts and nutrition to produce world beaters, people who would in fact be better than Fali, who is here sitting? Okay, how does somebody like her replicate herself? How do we in Nigeria, within, for instance, the next Olympics or the next Commonwealth Games and so on, have people who would beat the record she has set in the country? So these are the things that would emerge when we begin to look at commercializing, quote now, sports in the country. And I think that's what...
We must commend the Minister of Sports, no doubt. He has come up with this fantastic job, an attempt to move sports from recreation to business, as a matter of fact. It's a good one, but quite a number of persons have also looked at this policy from a different angle. For instance, aside the fact that they said it is voluminous, as we can see, it is huge, it is big.
Yes.
They said there is no clear-cut direction as to where sports is going in this same document. It was even said that the definition of sports was not, the concept of sports really was not properly defined in this document. Do you see it from that angle?
It depends on where you're coming from. It depends. I've spoken with quite a number of people who have criticized this seriously. But listen, I'm a very, very optimistic person. I always see a bottle or cup half filled, not half empty, okay? I said something now. This is voluminous, okay? Yeah, quite a number of mistakes in there, no doubt, okay? For instance, when you come to the issue of the developmental aspect of it, okay? Yeah, fine. Scientific aspect, technology, how we bring all this into sport. There's not much in here, but like I said, I was just sharing with MON out there. Listen, it's like writing something in Ijebu language and bringing it here. We are Yorubas here, and you say read.
You should read.
Okay, and I look at it and I see SOA, and so I don't understand it. The first thing is I now call her, come on, you are from Ijebu, please, what is this? She interprets it. It is after that interpretation that, oh, now I understand what you are saying. How do we go ahead to implement what is here? That's what we should do.
Now, everyone, let us look at it from this angle, because I've also heard quite a number of persons talk about the fact that, yes, quite a number of bodies, institutions were consulted, but key stakeholders, really, that matter in terms of sports were not consulted before this document was come up with. Now, for instance, I understand that SWAN was not consulted. Federation presidents and secretaries were not consulted. Even the athletes whom you are trying to develop and help, they were also not consulted. Now, if this key, even supporters club were also not, was not consulted. Now, if these key people, these stakeholders are not consulted in a document that is meant to develop sport, how much of trust should we place on this document to move our sports forward?
I think this is what we are doing now. If you look at it, even for them, bringing it out, that this is what we have done. Let's see. Tell us what we have done wrong. How can we move it forward? I think this, that is the reason why we are in this situation now. Because I saw a lot of names there, but when you talk about athlete, it's very, very important to them because they come first. Athletes come first. Without the athlete, nobody is going nowhere. He has to be the athlete. So that is the reason why we are doing what we are doing now. I think, not just to, it's not be fair for them to rubbish what they have done. They have done very well, but they have to make everything in a box that you bring your own, and then we put it together and then we set it out. I think,
And I think more importantly too, this is also subject to review. I read it, and I think they also mentioned review, over time review. Maybe it could still be reviewed over time.
No, it's going to be.
This is the draft.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's going to be reviewed.
It's still the draft.
It's still going to be reviewed. Definitely, it's going to be.
Chief Mrs. Let's look at your experience over the years as an athlete and as an administrator inside Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Countries of the world that have done so well in sports they've also been seen to be very consistent with their policy. In fact, their policies transit from one government to the other. But in this decline. I mean, we've seen so many efforts in the past. You know, one government comes, initiates a policy, a sports policy, the other government comes and believes that, oh, they've done, rubbish, we can't take it. They start all over again. Can a country go like that in terms of sports?
No, it cannot go like that. It just have to be something that, we have to follow. You know, it's a rhythm. You have to follow. This is what this one have done before he left. This is, what we need to do. If everybody is coming and they are trying to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, it's going to be a lot of much problem for us in Nigeria. We just have to going from here. That is the, I think that is the main issue. If you let it the way we are doing it, that this one I've done something and I want to do my own, it's not going to help us at all. It's not going to help us.
If I may chip in, to what you just said, see, what we have on ground now is not what the ministry can implement. Listen, there's been a lot of some confusion up there at the center. Okay, the National Sports Commission, okay, is not in place as it should be. Now that is the body. Okay, when we're talking about global best practice, that is the body that should drive this sort of document, not the ministry. Okay, now there's a huge difference between having a ministry in charge of sports, okay, and a commission that is in charge of not only sports development, recreation and promotion, and then to sustain it. Okay, I don't want us to go back too much into history, but Biodun, so, I mean, where we're coming from when it comes into the issue of putting a national sports commission in place. Hitherto, Biodun, please, have we ever had something like this? Something you can refer to as a sports policy? I don't think so. I've not seen it. You just hear about it. Okay, but it has never been out there in public domain. But for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we are talking of a sports policy that is in public domain. Not only that, you are talking of a policy that will give us sports industry to industrialize, commercialize sports in the country. So it's a huge step moving forward. The issue now is, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
Now, without a commission in place, without a commission in place, do you think we can really implement? I mean, because Nigeria, we have always had policies, we've always had the blueprints, we've always had documents. Fantastic documents are that, but we are always stuck at implementing these documents, executing them. And without this commission, sports commission, do you think we can?
No, sir. Without the commission, no. It will be almost impossible. It won't work.
Why? Why won't it work?
Fine. Now, you see, a sports commission is not, forgive me, politicized. A sports commission put in place is neutral. It can grow on its own and sustain itself, okay, over a period. Is it a 5 or 4 year term that they will be there? Okay, without government having anything to do with it, separate entirely. Listen, take England, take UK for instance. What has government got to do with sports in England? Zero. Take Germany. Just look at some of these countries again where sports is taken as an industry. Okay? Now, the truth of the matter is that a sports commission would have a right to seek for funds, it has its own institution put in place to ensure that everything needed for sports development is there. It has its own directorates, it has its own directors, it has its coaches, and so on and so forth. Number one, the trust fund for that commission is enough to drive the commission. But the ministry will go cap in hand almost every month to either the finance minister or to the presidency for funds, just like what we're having now. So you're talking of just palliatives, which would not help at all. That is a major difference between having a ministry and then the minister. It's not, the minister should not be the chairman. In fact, he shouldn't be the one driving this. We don't need it. We do not. So I am suggesting very humbly that the commissioner, for instance, the minister, okay, should metamorphose into like the chairman of the commission, National Sports Commission, and then you now have those who would work under him, the Director General, and so on and so forth. That is the only way we can move and drive sports forward in the country.
Now, how difficult is that to achieve, MON? I think it just requires the powers of, letting Mr. President know, and then he puts in place the right machinery, and we move on. Is that difficult to achieve?
It's not difficult. It's just for him to just, like the way our minister is doing what he's doing now, is just for the president to just move and say, okay, let's go into commission. And that would be much, much, much better for the athlete, for everybody. Because with commission, all this is something that is just going to go with it, But if you continue saying the minister and this, the way we are doing now, we are just, rubbing, one leg and leaving another one, like, this is how we are going to do it, this is how we are going to do it,
Now, don't you think people like you, you have a tremendous role to play to persuade the minister, to persuade Mr. President that commission should actually be in place so that we can experience the real growth that they intend to see.
Yes, it's true, you can only say how you feel, what you want to say, and they will just go there and do whatever they want to do. Because like me, I want it in a manner that, they will just go there and do whatever they need to do. This is what we want, this is what, they know what we want. We know what we want. We are going to tell you what we want. But after we have been saying it, when we are going to talk to the president, nobody is going to be there. They are just going to shame the president and say, oh God, look, this. And before
they say it their own way.
Yes, and then before the man have already, the minister, the PS, this, at the end of the day, we are still in a round,
circle.
Yes, we are just moving around instead of moving forward.
Can I chip something in? It's the political will. She's not a politician. Okay, she's a technocrat, somebody who has done sports, okay, globally, up to the Olympics, okay, fine. She will just come in with some technical, aspects of it. Let's do it this way, this is the way we should do it, blah, blah, blah. But then, you see, we cannot run away from the political angle of it. It's the politicians who would be able to sit down with the president, for instance, to say, Your Excellency, this is how we should do it, this is what we should do. Now, once the political will is there, okay, right from the top, it would cascade down the line. But once that is absent, forget
Dr.
it.
Macaulay, we used to have National Sports Commission.
Yes.
We used to have it.
Yes.
Alex Akinyele headed the National Sports Commission.
Yes.
I think S.B. Williams too headed the National Sports Commission.
Yes.
So how did they, was it scrapped? Where did he lose it?
It died a very unnatural death. A very, very unnatural death. Take it from the NOC, National Olympic Committee. Take it from there. Okay. Everything, I don't want to mention names, I mean, some of them are late now, okay, with all due respect and so on. But I remember that, I don't want to mention names, a lot of efforts were put into this, okay, to ensure that the commission survived. But some top-ranking politicians came into sports and ensured that no, especially when it became this idea of this one should come from this zone, Why is this person the chairman? Why is this person the minister? Why? You know, Biodun, you know, go to the history of ministers, sports ministers in the country.
Yes.
They've
always come from a particular...
I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that. Okay, so that's why he died a very unnatural death, a very unhealthy one. If we had not politicized it, if we had professionalized it, if you allow me to use that term, okay, we wouldn't be in what we are today. And that is why we are calling on everybody. Even Swan, just like you mentioned, you have a lot of roles to play now, please. You have a lot of roles to play. Listen, the media is germane to the success of sports development in Nigeria. Believe me sincerely. Okay. If we can sustain this, if we are able to impress on, for instance, the chairman of the Committee on Sports Development in the House in Abuja, if we can sit down with him and let him know that, listen, Mr. Chairman, you are in charge of sports committee in the House, either in the Senate or in the House of Reps. Okay, listen, this is what we are saying. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about sports industry now, okay, commercializing sports and so on, so that it become a platform for creation of jobs and so on for millions of Nigerian youth. Maybe he would understand that and then take it to the House and let the House know that, listen, we don't need a ministry. What we need now is a sports commission. So let us institutionalize it and have a chairman of the board and so on and so forth on one hand, and then the trust fund for sports.
Can't that also be, you don't think that can also be politicized? If you say chairman of the commission, they say must come from a particular zone of the country, the DG must come from a particular zone of the country, all the directors,
yes, sir.
They will also have to come in via ethnic quota and all of that.
Very good. We can't run away from that now, we
but competence has to be...
Fine, very good. Competence has to. Now, fine. You see, we're talking about center now, federal, okay? Maybe at the state level now, okay? Each state will now look into how to implement, or how to put a commission in place, just like some other states.
Anyway, we'll come back to that. Let's look at the ingredients of this document. Some people, so many Nigerians don't believe all of these, and I think Chief Mrs. Valato Nkoya-Omota is a very fantastic example of someone who has risen from grass to grace through sports. You know?
Yeah.
I think you'd like to share your experience because people don't understand the values of sports. I was reading an article the day before yesterday, Wilfred Ndidi, who plays for Leicester City in England. You know, he was hawking groundnut on the streets of Lagos.
Ndidi went through this.
Yes, Ndidi
went through this.
They were hawking items on the streets of Lagos. And today they are in Europe.
Yeah.
Now you from Remo, you've traveled all over the world. You've been at the Olympics, you've won medals at the Olympic Games, so many World Athletics Championships. You've been to so many parts of the world. Even professors with all the degrees have not gone as far as you have gone in the world. You need to explain to the world the power and the value of sports in this program.
Oh boy. When you talk about sport, it gives me a little concern. The way we are handling it in Nigeria, it's giving me concern a lot. And these people you are talking about, they hawk, groundnut, they be selling food,
bottled water.
Yes, you see the way they are running to sell whatever they need to sell to do that. But the way is the manner we are handling it here in Nigeria. Because when I see them doing that, I say, if they can give me some of these people, look at the way they are doing it. But that's coming from me because I know what they can benefit from what they are doing. But if you look the way we are doing it, you cannot take it from the mother that, I don't want my son to go to that place, so If you just go down, that's it before you know. Because sometimes they qualify, they will not pick them. Sometimes this is the good one, you will leave them. You want to pick another one, you know, because of what? So that's why you see.
And sometimes you don't even identify them.
Yes, because we have to start, you know, we have to start from primary school, secondary school, into
Polytechnics.
yes,
university.
you know, all this step by step. But we don't want to do that, you know, because all this, you know, when we see people that really want to do sport now, they just come into sport. They say, maybe I've tried that one, it's not going to work. Let me go and try sport. And then the age, you know, because of the age, they have to like, okay, they don't know, let me just, but 2 or 3 years is going to show. So now what we need to do is to go back to that commission and see that, okay, from primary school, from secondary school, this is why we have been managing the athlete. We have to manage them, we have to, you know, encourage them so that when you see them later, you say, oh, I know this one. When this person was in primary school, in secondary school.
Sorry, let me, I think MON, we need to explain some things further a bit. I don't know, when you were growing up, maybe you had an option of becoming a banker. What other thing did you actually?
You know, I didn't want, see, what I wanted to do was I want to run or play table.
Just to run?
Yes, I want to run, I want to play table. Either I do table or I run. So it's within me that I've seen myself that this place that I am, where we plenty of, how am I going to make it, you know? So me going to inter-house sports, going to this, going to that, and I watch TV, I see people jubilating after winning medal for their country. That gives me effort that this is what I want to do. But now, it's different.
Now, let me cut in, sorry. How easy was it for you getting the opportunity, getting the platform? Because just yesterday I was discussing with somebody, and then he said, so many years ago, he was watching Biodun and Hakim on Sports Reel, on OGTV, and then, you know, he was passionate about what they were doing, the football highlights they were showing, and then, of course, he was also good in football. And then they were talking about Gateway and the rest of them. So one day he just took his boots, went to MKO Abiola International Stadium, where Gateway FC was having their training session. And then he walked up to one of the coaches and introduced himself, told him he was passionate about it, and then they should give him the opportunity to just be training with them. And then the coach or the person told him, well, sorry, we cannot take you. If you had come through probably one commissioner or one government functionary, maybe we would have given you that opportunity, but they cannot
if you had mentioned they will have.
Or probably you know, and that was how his whole dash was dashed. And then he could not pick up really again. How easy was it for you?
That is where we get it wrong, you know. Even for that person coming up to you, so saying that you should not just knock that person like that. You know, you tell the person, this is what you are going to do, this is what you are going to do. Not to knock the person that, you know, you have to come from, what's the commissioner or this have to do with, you know.
His ability.
Yes, you know. No, that means that you have already, the person will just look at this, I've been doing all this. This is what they are going to tell me, you know. Instantly, that you just kill the, whatever
Spirit.
that is coming in with, you know, with the passion, with I've gone to get the boot, I want to do this. So I think that we need to start from, you know, I believe in grassroots. I'm a grassroots person. So I believe that when you start from, say, you know, from primary school, secondary school, you have to monitor them.
Now, talking about grassroots, Biodun earlier was talking about nations who achieved greatly in sports. And then when we look at those nations, we discover that they did not take lightly sports at the grassroots. What is this document saying about grassroots sports?
Unfortunately,
it's not saying much about the athlete.
Not much.
It's not saying much about the athlete. That's what I said before. I said athlete. Athlete, the most important thing is the athlete. Athletes are without the athlete, nobody's going nowhere. Nobody's going nowhere. So we have this, but when you don't talk about the athletes, the elite, from grassroots to the, those are the people, those are the ones that is the first person you are going to deal with. With that, that's going to help us. But with this, I'm happy that, what I'm really happy about this is what we have done. Let's go and let people go and tell us whatever we are doing that it's not right, it's not wrong. Let's work together, and kudos to that person that really advised that this thing needs to go to the public.
A major problem we have in the country today, if I may chip this in. Yeah, fantastic. We have a lot of these young boys and girls out there in their millions in the country. But you see, when you look at the pyramid of development, athletes development, somebody must be in charge. Somebody was in charge of her when she was coming up. Somebody was in charge of me coming up, Now, are we really looking into the educational aspect of our trainers? In Nigeria, is everybody not a coach? Is everybody not a trainer in the country? How many academies do we have in this country today with qualified coaches? I don't want to go too far. Take Abeokuta, take Ogun State, take football. How many grassroots coaches? Trained, licensed, certified, that look, this is my certificate, I can handle. If I see a girl on the street and I look at her, I know that, oh, this one could be a very good runner. I can invite him or her and then take him or her through that process of training, taking him or her through the technique of running a long distance or short distance. How many do we have like that? So it's a big problem. Now, going back to what you said, Pele was 15 when he went to Santos. He got there, the coach looked at him and said, so you want to play here? He said, yes. As you are now? He said, no, boy. You go back. He left. He went back home. But his coach told him, no, don't worry. Within the next 1 year, we will build you up. By the time Pele went back, it was a different story, just within a year. So at age 16, he was able to play for Santos, and then from there graduated to the national team. How many of such do we have in Nigeria today? That's an issue. It's a very big one. Now, these are the issues we would expect us, I say us now, not them, to look at in such a document. But it is lacking. It is lacking. Sorry, you are sports journalists, you are members of SWAN. Have you ever been nominated within the past 2, 3, 4 years, sorry, my brother here, Dominic, to go on a training course somewhere for... You're smiling.
Except I get sponsorship from here.
Listen, but this is what it should be. That should be the norm.
But here, there's a policy here in OGTV. I mean, a whole lot of us have covered international events.
It's not covering. I'm not talking of covering. You see, you are going to recreational and promotional.
No, because also too, along the line, we also learned a whole lot of things.
Sorry, sir. We are talking of the pandemic, COVID, post-COVID. Are we getting ready for that? What is trending globally now is esports. What are we doing about that? Shouldn't the government take some of you and say, hey, come on, you go there, you go to China, you go there and go and study this. Or put something in place, a process, whereby we should be talking esports now.
Dr. But because we have like 15 minutes to go, we also know that there are landmines. Even if, for instance, if a very honest man is starting the process, he can't be the only one that will run the process. You still have to put some places, people in places. But you see, we have landmines almost everywhere, politicized at every level. And so if you are struggling to get it right in Ogun State, Oyo is not getting it right, Lagos is getting it right, Kebbi is not getting it right, other states are getting it right, some are not getting it right. There's no way all of you can actually crystallize at the national level and say we have done the right thing, because you are going different ways at the state level. Now, the question of commission, if there's no National Sports Commission, do you think state governments will also believe in establishing a commission?
Oh, why not? Just so many states have done that. As a matter of fact, Kwara State right now will be coming up with a commission very soon.
What has it brought to them, to those states? What has
oh boy!
brought
you know it. Number one, the issue. Look, my general overseer, Pastor Iya Adeboye, said something about sports. In fact, football. He said the only spirit that is more powerful than the spirit behind sports, especially football, is the Holy Spirit. It's a very powerful, look, it cuts across. Football, for instance, is the only thread binding us together as a country today, not religion, not politics. It's so powerful. It breaks down every form of myth, every form of stereotype. That's the power of football. And see, we are talking about job creations and so on. Do you know that Liverpool just winning, what is it? EPL went, smiled to the bank with about 86 million pounds just for winning. Talk about generation of revenue. Okay, in Ogun State, for instance, let me narrow it down to Ogun State. That is huge for us. It's going to be so humongous that, listen, we're talking of creation of jobs for our youth and so on. Oh, come on. We have it. I said something during the last youth summit here some few years ago. If the industries and banks we have in Ogun State would just give us 5% of their annual, what do you call it now, corporate social responsibility budget, we are good to go in Ogun State. We don't need government to give us one kobo, one dime.
We have for stadia.
But if Ogun State, for instance, there are moves by Ogun State government to actually establish a sports commission, the bill for the commission and trust fund, I've led the House of Assembly. They are with the governor, waiting for his assent. Yes, we hope that in the past few weeks, Governor Dapabiano has been putting in place different boards, commissions, and all of that. We hope that sports commission will be part of it very soon. Yeah. But what is the MN? Let me ask you, because you can never tell. The governor may be watching this program as well at this point in time. What will establishment of sports commission bring to Ogun State?
It's going to bring a lot of things to Ogun State, because we know we have the state there already. We have 4. And with the manager in those spots, in all the zones, we have the sport commission. We just, we have been waiting for this for a long time. And then we will really appreciate it if you just, need to sign the two bills, because the House have done what they are supposed to do. It's for him just to assign I don't know what is keeping him doing that. You just need to assign it. If you have done that, then it's different. Then we move forward, because it's going to help a lot of people in Ogun State. And if you look at the way we are now, the sport people, we are not doing anything. We are not doing anything. And the athletes, the coaches, we'll be able to.
But I think it's a national thing. COVID-19 is still very much.
Don't say COVID-19 or.
COVID has come, it will go.
COVID, yeah.
COVID, if you want to talk about COVID, you not see people, people just, they ran on Friday, they were in Monaco.
Yeah.
They were running.
The Diamond League.
The Diamond League is going on, and the football is going on, and all the executives that are supposed to be in their office, we are here now, So since all these things, they do close, this place was not closed. So I don't want them to look at sports, to let it affect these athletes. It gives me so much concern, about what's going on, because if it's really painful. It's really painful the way the sports matter was handled during the COVID. It's not something that I can.
I think we can actually draw a lot of inspiration. I'll come to Dr. Wankole very shortly. Inspiration from the way Ogun State hosted the National Sports Festival in 2006. That was done by a commission too. I remember a commission was put in place, National Sports Festival, Gateway Games 2006 Sports Commission.
Yes.
And headed by Dr. Majekodumi also. Then, of course, the man at the top, the former governor, Bengadane, was overseeing everything. I think it was so spectacular, and that festival remains one of the best in the history of that event in Nigeria. Maybe that can also be done this time around.
That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. If we can do that now, that'd be really help the athletes, because the way we are handling the thing, everybody's, is just looking at these athletes. We have 4 good stadiums. We should have opened one. We should have opened one for them, that this is the one for you to be training. Because you have to remember that some athletes that is going to go to Olympics, there's some that's going to go to other competition. And, I see level 15, level 17 is going to the office, and you're saying the athletes should not go and
They shouldn't go to the...
They should not go to, I don't understand.
Dr. Wankole, I've also been at some fora where some people believe that there's no difference between a sports ministry. We still have a Ministry of Youth and Sports and a commission. They just feel it's mere nomenclature, that there won't be, nothing will be different if you have a commission. Is that true?
It's not true. See, we have to look at the socioeconomic impact a commission would have on the state. We have to look into the academic, educational impact it would. I'm talking of from the schools. We have to look into how we want to marry school sports, okay? The growth of our children in school. When children are involved in sports, there's a lot of benefit, okay, that would accrue from that. We want to look into how, let me go back to this issue of job creation. It's very, very important. There's too much poverty out there, okay? It's only those who are involved, who are experiencing it, who know. Too many people are unemployed. With a sports commission and with a trust fund put in place, a lot of money would come from the public sector, because it's going to be the PPP thing, is the private,
Private partnership.
Yes, okay, would partner with sports and so on. So there is a lot of, we have so many things to benefit from it. We will be able to produce some things that we will do locally. Who tells me that we cannot use our local adire here, okay, to produce kits for sports and so on? It's so large. The marketplace is so large, and we are not. If we're able to maximize the little potential we have now, I can assure you, and I'm assuring His Excellency the Governor, like you said, if he's listening, believe me sincerely, within the next 1 year, the difference will be clear. You will see the benefits, absolutely.
Now, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult for. Okay, round off with your submission.
There was. I want to take responsibility for something, and I'm saying this with all due respect and high level of responsibility. I think we did not lobby enough after we produced the document for the Sports Commission. She was involved. You were involved, Biodu. We sat down there in your studio a whole day, okay? It took us some time, okay? I went back with Professor Sheung Omotayo after we met and so on. But you see, we did not lobby. We did not politicize it. So when we got to the... Wait. Let me explain to you. Listen, when we had the public hearing, I was there to represent us, the sports in the industry. Okay, fine. Not knowing that the politicians, okay, and then those in the ministry, Okay, actually, as a matter of fact, working with me then, that was when we were trying to restructure Gateway FC, okay, already saw that this Sports Commission was a big threat to them.
Anyway,
So-
we don't have,
so-
really.
So if we had lobbied enough, okay, like people like Nishonibe, the chairman of sports committee and so on, okay. As a matter of fact, Kanimodo, who was is still there,
Yeah,
right? And some other people like that. If we had lobbied them to say, even Faleti, the director of sports in the sports council, that, hey, you are not threatened. Listen, there's a place for you in this commission.
I think all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost.
well,
All hope is not lost. And I think the governor,
are still lobbying.
the governor watches this station dearly.
are
He
still
loves this
lobbying,
station dearly, and I'm
we are
sure
lobbying.
he's watching this. If he's not watching, I'm sure messages will be sent to him about the need for Ogun State to have a sports commission. I think things are happening in Ogun State already. And the 10-kilometer race that we saw, the one in Remo, I mean, these are great things that we have actually seen in the state. And I think promotion, yeah, I agree.
Hey, wait. Why can't we been having marathon races in the country? Why don't we have an academy where we'll be grooming
them.
marathoners?
Marathoners, I agree.
We have
I
first
agree.
stadium
I agree.
already.
I agree. But I think we've also done a bit of development too. I also understand some young boys and girls were picked from Maku, Shagamu. You know, they were doing raw swimming and they were taken to Djibouti. When they got to Djibouti, they took them to a swimming pool at the Equity Hotel swimming pool, and they fell out of like a fish out of water. You know, it was strange to them. They'd never seen a swimming pool, and they were taken to Lagos. They've never been to Lagos. You know, and I think that's the awesome power of sports. I must thank you so much for coming on this program. And when Chief Mrs. Falatu Nkoya Amota, ex-Olympian, thank you so much for coming. Dr. Paul Bankole, foremost sports administrator, purveyor of so many great talents in football. One of them in Didi. Did you get your own share of the money? We want to thank you so much for coming on this program. Dominic, we have to go.
Yes, we thank you so much also for staying tuned to the People's Daily. That's the size of the program, Newdawn, for today, to the 17th day in the month of August 2020. Thank you for staying tuned. I am Dominic Agbeha. On behalf of my colleague, we are saying have a wonderful day.
This week in history, on the 10th of August 2014, the dreaded Boko Haram sect abducted about 100 young men and several women in Baga town, Maiduguri.